What's going on YouTube? Here we are live today, Monday. It's 12:15 p.m. and it's a rainy day here. Hey, and I don't care if nobody's here or 10,000 people are here. We are going live and we're going to talk about pain points of trucking. All right, so pain points in trucking can be a real problem. There's stuff that holds you up. What's going on, Peterbilt 379? It's good to see you here today. There's a lot of stuff that holds people up in trucking that can be eliminated. And sometimes you can just, hello, Marty, you can just eliminate it by simply asking for it at your company. Like delays at shippers. That's a very good one. Yeah, that is a good point. Running cheap is a pain point for everybody if your pay is dependent upon that. A lot of people sit around and waiting. Not much, not much, is waiting. So if you're waiting a lot, you got to go to your dispatcher and say, look, why am I waiting? Why am I waiting? Pain points in trucking are points that cause your wallet pain. Your wallet is pained very much when it isn't being filled up with money. And so things like that are problems that can be eliminated. You have to approach trucking kind of like a scientist where you can cut things up. Oh, Richard Common, what's happening, sir? You can cut things out like a cancer out of your wallet. You're waiting. You got to eliminate that. Sometimes if you just ask your dispatcher and say, hey, why don't you give me places that doesn't where I don't wait? Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, okay, and then they just switch you around. Sometimes it's just as simple as asking for something. A good example that I always like is fueling. I see these guys lined up with these pilots because they give these discounts to these companies, okay? And so they're waiting in this long line. Sometimes it's 4 or 5 trucks long. That's crazy. That's crazy when right across the street, there's nobody fueling at the Petro. That's a problem. So how do you eliminate that? Well, a good example, you go to a company that'll let you fuel wherever you want. My Comdata card's open everywhere I want. So I don't have to sit around there, see, because I know that's a pain point for people. That costs you money. Look, if it costs you, so you don't get a shower right there. Even if you have to pay $12, what if you waited 45 minutes, see? It's worth paying the money for the shower because you make more in 45 minutes than the shower costs you. All this time just runs your clock out, and it's just crazy to sit around there. Everything you do, you might have to change companies. Right. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm buffering. I'm on Wi-Fi, and look, I'm good. I'm good. All right. Comcast. Look, sometimes you wait in a long line at a fuel island. There might be 4 trucks ahead of you, and you don't know if the guy's showering or whatever is happening. It's just ridiculous. So you need to fuel where there's no line. That saves you a ton of money. What if you could go the whole year and never wait in line? How much more money would you have made? Think about that. That's important. Okay, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, right? That is a huge problem. So you want to go to a place that is more liberal with their fueling. Either they give you a book or they allow you to fuel wherever in the book, or you can just go and fill up anywhere you want. I stop wherever I want. My Comdata card's open. I fuel at drive time. I've never heard of drive time. Okay, I have no places give you a book. Some places give you a route. That's the worst, where they say, fuel here. You must fuel only here on this route that we gave you. So you're stuck sitting there. You're stuck in this long line behind who knows how many trucks. That kind of thing, that's a huge problem. Another thing I think is a problem is weight. Yeah, heavy loads, you have to go cat scale them. Cat scaling takes time. Time is money. What if you worked at a place or arranged with your dispatcher to give you loads that were all light, or 35,000 pounds or less? You wouldn't have to cat scale any of them. What if you didn't cat scale all year? How much money would that save you? A lot. And so you say, well, 10 minutes to, now we're talking 20, 30 minutes sometimes a day, every couple days. What if you added a couple of extra hours a week to your time? That's important. That's driving time. So if you're making 50 cents, that's $30 an hour when you're driving. If you added 2 hours a week, $60 a week, $3,000. $3,000. Okay, you think it's dumb? They make you fuel there. The companies make you fuel at certain places. They do that because they get huge discounts. Generally, it's Pilot, Flying J, right? But it can be others. And they give gigantic discounts to these large companies. They're saving 10, 20 cents a gallon. So they get big discounts. That's why they have you fuel there. Fueling every other day depends on your truck, right? I only have one fuel tank on it. They did that to save weight. It's a 135 gallon tank. That's it. So it's fueling every day. That takes time, right? But at 9+ miles to the gallon, which people were skeptical about all in the comments, right? You still can get some distance, but you want to get fueled up anyway. Our older trucks, they'll have some of them have two 150 gallon tanks. That's much better, but they only get 7 miles to the gallon. So it just depends. But they eliminated one tank to save weight. So have a single 135 gallon fuel tank on the driver's side, same as the DEF. And we have one truck with the DEF on the passenger side. I have no idea how they do that. They must reach that hose all the way around. It doesn't make any sense. But if you eliminate all these kind of stuff, that'll also save you a lot of time. You can make a lot more money. $3,000 a year, $4,000 a year. Hey, you're talking money. Every couple of years, you get yourself a car just on your money savings, just on the savings of the money. The same with the wash that I just did a video about washing. They wash our trucks at the yard. They have a truck thing that comes out, a guy with a big hose thing, and they wash them every other week in the yard. So you don't have to stop on the road at a Blue Beacon. That takes time. Time, money. Blue Beacon, money. Now, they would pay for it at most companies, pay you wash at Blue Beacon, but they come by and wash them here. So when you come back in, you're fine. Like in a little bit, I'll get off here probably by 1 because I got to go to work. I leave Monday afternoons, and I'm back by Saturday mornings. And that's how I work. That's why I get to be on here on Monday. So I'll come in, truck will be washed next week, right? Washes next week. So every other week, no problem. Saving time. Blue Beacon can be 30 minutes. Depends who's in front of you. All these time things are things that drivers can adjust, can do little adjustments over time to save themselves money. You work at a company for a while, you'll be able to kind of ingratiate yourself in there. You'll be able to kind of get in there. That's why I say find a company and stay there. Stay there. It's after over 16 years here, I know everybody in there. A lot of people, I've been there longer than most of them. And so you can kind of work, exactly how the whole system works, how everything works. And you can work it to make yourself more money. It helps. But look, if you're at a bad company, leave, obviously. It's not worth staying. Not worth working out a system that's crappy or it's horrible. That's no good. You should move around. What do I think about drivers that job hop? Look, your first job, you're probably not going to stay at. First couple jobs, maybe. But once you get to learn the system, do some research. Find a place that is going to fit you, which I'm working on a list of companies, by the way, that will hire people at under your experience. I'm going to have that out. I'm working on a whole system. If people are interested, we'll do like a one-on-one or two-on-one thing where we can walk you through, for new drivers, right? How to find a company, the things to ask, because there's a lot of questions that people don't ask. And then when they get there, it's not a fit for them because they didn't ask about it and maybe they didn't know to ask about it. It's a lot of things that, you work, they don't work there because that's a question I get all the time. What's a good company here or what is a good company to work for? It depends. Depends on you. Where I like, you might not like it. So I want to go through the questions you should ask so you find the company that works for you because you may not like to run the way somebody else runs. There's good companies for everyone, but each company isn't good for everyone. So you change jobs a couple times and then in the end, find a place and stick with it. Stick with it. Unless they close their doors or whatever, stay there. Or there's some kind of huge change, then you may have to leave. But that also looks good later. You go into a place and you say, oh, Jay, what's going on? And you say, look, I've been at my company 16 years and I want to work here. Like, can you start in 2 minutes? Okay, so that's going to help you later. If something changes or you need to move or something like that, you're not going to have a problem getting a job where some guy that goes in and has 40 jobs, and there are people that have 12, 14 jobs in just a few years. That's a huge problem. It costs you money too. You leave and then it takes a week or two to get on somewhere else and it costs you. And then you have to go through another physical and more orientation usually where it's horrible. Some of them are bad. Where I work, it's a week of orientation for everybody. It's crazy. I told them 10 times it's stupid, right? And they don't care, right? A whole week of orientation, and that only pays $500 or something. It's way stupid. So that all costs you money then. So you've lost a week to pay, 2 weeks of pay. Then you have to figure a new system out. You're at a new company, you have to figure out how they work. And it takes you a few weeks to get rolling so you can make money again because you want to get going there and make money, but it takes time. And never leave a company for a sign on bonus. Sign on bonus, never leave for that. That's a nice thing to have, because that they're putting that out there, but never, don't even consider that in your figuring because you want to find a place you're going to be at for a long time. This is a one time, this much bonus. You want to think, how is it going to be 10 years from now? How is that going to be 10 years from now? So don't even worry about the sign-on bonus. Find the right company. Then if they have a bonus, that's exactly what it is. It's a bonus. What I recommend a smaller carrier that is leased to a mega carrier. How is a smaller carrier what? Somebody that's got a few trucks that leases on to a large company? Some owner operator, and then he has X trucks, or she, right? Before I get in trouble here from the PC police. And so then they put it on at a large carrier so that they can haul the freight and then pay you. Well, what would be the benefit to you to working for this? Because if you're leased onto the large carrier, that person is going to have to follow the rules of that large carrier imposes on all the trucks that lease on. So meaning, when you put their DOT number on your truck, you're going to follow their rules. You can't put a truck on at Swift, for instance, and run at 90 miles an hour. Swift's not going to allow it. So you're still going to be limited partially, at least, by this mega carrier's rules and by their freight and by the reputation on the door of the truck you're driving. And you shouldn't really care necessarily what other people think, but what about what the DOT think when they see you roll in? What about when shippers and receivers come in and everybody thinks you're an idiot? And so then they wait for you to get a better dock, which I've seen at places. They're like, oh, we can't put Swift down there because none of them that they've sent can back in. That can impact you. The door on the truck, the name on the door impacts you. Going through the scale, you're with a guy who's got 5 trucks and none of them wreck. But he's leased onto a large carrier that has wrecks every 20 minutes, and that name is what's on the door of your truck. And that's what the DOT is going to see when you go through the scale. They're going to say, oh, well, here's another one of these X company trucks. Let's pull them in because all their trucks wreck all the time and they burst into flames just driving on the road. It's something to consider. And plus, you don't get the benefit then of the large carrier. Large companies have a lot of benefits that you don't get in a small carrier. Lots of people write to me all the time, I want to work at a small company and where they know my name or that. I don't care if they know my name, all right? I can call in and just give them a number. I don't care. I'm not friends with them. They're not over here eating lunch today, all right? Don't care. So none of that matters. I want the benefits that come with a larger place because they have more freight. They have better insurance. Some guy with 5 trucks is not going to have any kind of good, vacation plan and health insurance and all that. It's just not. So to me, that is a real problem. Leasing on or being with somebody that only has a few trucks. It's not for me, but see, when we go through the question thing, it might be for you. That might be something you like. And so then that company might be a fit for somebody. It just isn't a fit for me. So for me to say you shouldn't work there, I don't know. It depends what you need in your life. We have a driver who is a military, veteran, retired military, and he gets his insurance stuff through them. So he doesn't need our insurance and he doesn't need all that stuff. So to him, it might work out for him, but for me, it doesn't work out. That doesn't mean it's necessarily bad, although the door thing and the scale, that does bother me a little bit. You want to be incognito. They're driving down the road, and plus you're pulling usually their trailers. So if it's a place that has a lot of maintenance issues where they don't take care of their equipment, that could be a problem as well. Your truck may be pristine and you're pulling around this rusted bomb because they're not great on maintenance, because they're all beat up and everything. So you come in with this beat up trailer and they're like, you can still get pulled in for that kind of reason because your trailer's all beat up. So that kind of stuff, you want to avoid that. That's another pain point, ironically. Getting tickets. Don't get any tickets. Scales, right? Don't do any of that. That's why I was out waxing, right? Keep everything clean, but you don't have any control over the trailer if it's to a carrier that just isn't any good. So for me, no. For you, maybe. Maybe it works out for other people. Uh, so people lease 5 trucks on, yeah, then they get paid. Then they got to pay you, but you got two middlemen in between the pay. Then you would, if you worked for them, you'd get paid. But instead, if you work for somebody that else that works for them, then you got somebody else that's got to take a cut of this pay. You got to take a cut of the pay. Oh, I like that, right? The Cadillac of trailers. That's pretty good, right? Walmart drivers get a lot of respect in the industry because they get a lot of pay in the industry. They're paid very well. Ironically, the store, everything in the store is like 48 cents. I can go buy, 20 gallons of mayonnaise in there. It's $1. You get a shirt, they're 38 cents. Okay, but the Walmart drivers are really paid really good, and they have quite good equipment. The equipment that I've seen, very new. We had a driver quit here. Does Walmart require 3 years? Okay, maybe. Right, that might be. Okay, and that's another reason that they get better drivers. All these companies, including here, right, they have cut down the required amount of experience that they need. Instead of, maintaining that and getting good drivers, they'll take less and less experienced drivers, and that way they can reduce the pay maybe, or just go, oh, we have to get people. Well, hold your standard higher and you'll still get people. Like Walmart. They're advertising in Seymour, Indiana, which is, 120 miles south of me, but they would still hire here. If you wanted to go on to Walmart, you can have to live 150 miles. Maybe it's 250 miles. It's more 150 or more miles from a terminal. I don't know, but they'll let you live pretty far away from their terminals and get hired on there. So it might be a place for somebody. Go to the Walmart stores, come back, get paid to sleep in the truck. Not bad. So they get a lot of respect because of that. Even though the ones here are generally trashed and everything in there is under $5 basically. Almost, if you went in with a $50, you can buy almost everything in the whole store, like all at one time. They'll just take it all out to your car for you. That's why they get a lot of that. Drivers could get more, carriers would get more drivers if they paid better. Yes, that has been the problem for some time. Now, finally, electronic logs, people are doing what I've said to do for the last 30 years, basically, which is follow the rules, and they immediately put pressure on the industry, and pay is skyrocketing everywhere. Huge pay bumps. I'm seeing local jobs in Indianapolis in the $90,000 range. Yeah, Walmart DCs are the king. Yeah, you're a minute late. Oh, we'll reschedule you for some other time. That's true if you don't drive for Walmart. And so that is a problem. That's a pain point that has to be eliminated. So, when if you're going there, be early, I guess. But sometimes you're late. Don't take those loads. Well, I have to take those loads. I agree. So how do we eliminate that? If we sit all the time, that has to be eliminated. Unless you're being paid for all that time. If you're being paid for it, then I guess it isn't a problem. But if you sit somewhere, that might be a carrier you have to leave. It might be. It might be. Yeah, yeah. Missed the crap company of the week. I know, but I just don't want to. I don't want to discourage people from coming in the industry. I get a lot of people, and I appreciate that people like that. But I want people to come in the industry. There's good all over, and so the last feed right was suggested that I just do like a spotlighted carrier and let people decide, and that's what I did with Hirschbach. That I put out the information there, and then people can decide if they enjoy, waiting 2 days for $90 or however they want to do it like that. Oh, yeah, I'm going to put this on a few people on, right? Last time, somebody suggested that people not drive for the Stevie Wonder Truck Driving Institute. If you're on there, right? Say something, but, okay, look. Now, I put this out. I have a Teespring store. I put them on there. They're at the store. Is that you, sir? Okay, rotten eggplant, right. Okay, that is the greatest idea ever. They're at I have a Teespring store. It's in the description, right? You can go check the shirts out. They're only be there a couple days. I got to take them down probably because you probably can't have them on there. I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Stevie Wonder Truck Driving Institute. That's great. He probably wouldn't like it, but I guess he'll never see the shirt, so I don't know what to say. Ha! Okay, checking the registration, right. Now, I used to haul for at General Motors plant, and when you go into General Motors, they checked the registration on the trailers. 10 years, and they were like 9 years and 8 months because they didn't know how long it would sit there. They wouldn't let you in. They're like, no, they will not let you in. Right, and so I assume the other automakers are the same way because they don't want some piece of junk on the road either falling apart or being inspected and being held up because they need those parts. So they want a 10-year or newer trailer, and there are other places that do that as well, and I think that's a good idea. That should be long enough for a trailer to be on the road. I think 10 years. I mean, what's how many miles does it have on it by 10 years? More than a million, maybe. Carriers that are exempt from e-logs. What's my opinion? All right, who's exempt from e-logs? We're in a reemployer rookies, no experience. Yeah, that's a lot of places, not just there. Do you mean like this thing that where they're going to have maybe 10 trucks or less be exempt, or are you talking carriers that have pre 99 trucks? I just saw an ad this weekend. They had in their ad, all our trucks are glider kits. You don't have to worry about e-logs. So they're saying we have a new truck and we put this old junky engine in it. But I think that carriers should follow electronic logs. Anytime people violate the log, all they're doing is, you're right, the pre 99 trucks, right? People are just cutting their own pay. That's it. You're cutting your own pay. You're doing two drivers' work for one driver's pay. That isn't a good idea. It never was, and it shouldn't be now. Oh, that's good. Every new guy leaves after 9 days for England. Oh, that's a great shirt, too. That might go in there soon. Oh, that's pretty good. I remember that. I wish I had a pen here with me. All right, look. Every company, right, tries to do this. Can you just go here? Can't you just run it at 10 more minutes? No. You're doing two people's work. You shouldn't have done it then, and you shouldn't do it now. It isn't a good idea. Tell them no. Tell them to come and get you. Tell them to come and get you. We've been on the electronic and EOBRs before I get in trouble, right, for since 2010. And if you're stuck, they'll get you or motel you, depending where you are. That's how it works. And that's how it should work. And it depends on the load. They may send somebody for your load and tell you to go to sleep. But either way, you don't have to do it. It's putting pressure on them. And when it puts pressure on the company, they have to raise pay because they need more drivers to cover all these loads. Once they have all that pressure, the pay can go up for everybody, like it's doing now because it's putting a lot of pressure. That's what it should have done years ago, but drivers are willing to do two drivers' work for one driver's pay. I never understood it. It's the only industry that does that. You would never work extra, even at McDonald's. If you were out at 8 and they go, we have to work till 10 for free, nobody would do it. You'd walk out the door. Why would you do it here? Doubles and triples, fine. I pulled double trailers, triples, no problem. They run just like one trailer. They all follow each other like a train around. And the good thing, you don't have to back them up anywhere generally. Pretty easy. They're easy to hook up. No problem. I like it. Anything that's on wheels, I'm in for. So doubles, and it usually pays more. Places that have doubles usually pay better. You'll see these on, pups hooked up or whatever. I'm in. Hopefully you're in too. Get your doubles endorsement when you get your license, if you don't have a license. No matter if you think, oh, I'm never pulling doubles, go get it. It was $5 here and it's good for the rest of your life. You never have to mess with it. You never know when they will ask you to do it. Okay, yeah, I've seen the large doubles. I've pulled Rocky Mountain doubles before, which is a 48 and a 26, okay, in the out west. But I have never pulled the two large ones. And it should just be the same. It's just heavier. It's just slower going up the hills, okay? That's a Rocky Mountain double. And drivers cannot sleep on the interstate. That is super dangerous. And sleeping on the off ramps is generally prohibited. I don't know if it's prohibited in every state. It is here in Indiana. It's a $500 fine. And most companies, including mine, will fire you for parking on the off ramp if your truck's not broke down, period. If they find out about it, you're fired. Like, so if you're on the ramp and they see you on the ramp, if it's the wrong person at the company, fired. And believe me, there's some other driver that's going to call you in. Oh, I saw trucking answers parked on the ramp. Right, and so they're going to brown nose it. So you always got to watch out for that. It's dangerous anyway. People can hit you or whatever. It's dangerous. Okay, so I'm not saying you should park on the ramp. And then believe me, somebody's going to brown nose you in. Some manager's going to see you. They don't allow it here. The state doesn't allow it. It's your fine, and they will make you pay for it here. Turnpike doubles are 53 foot. Yeah, right. They roll long ones on the turnpikes. I've never rolled two of the big ones, but out west you can roll Rocky Mountain doubles, which is a long and a shorty. I brought plenty of pups. Any trucking forms or community for hacking e-logs. Why are we hacking an e-log? What are we doing to the e-log? There must be some 12-year-old that can hack into it, probably. Why are we want to hack an e-log? What do I think about trailer tails? I love them. We've got them on some of ours. That's where I get my best mileage. Ours pop out automatically, although sometimes you go back there and only one is popped out, so I recommend opening them up yourself. We get a lot of damage from them though. That's why they haven't put them on all the trailers. The some drivers back into stuff with them or whatever, so some trailers don't have them or they'll have one. But yeah, they're great for fuel mods. That eliminates that space back there, that vacuum space back there. I agree with you. The on ramp is the safest way to park. It is still prohibited in Indiana and most states. You're not allowed on the ramp unless you're stuck. Some of them have gigantic holes too, and here, of course, you'd be fired for it. And that's a lot of companies do it. That is a lot of companies will fire you for it. And people don't use trailer tails. When they first came out with the idea, there were a lot of trailer tails, and now they've gotten them. They've gotten off them. Right, here's somebody that hates trailer tails because you forget, and you go to back in, and they're opening. You got to pull back up or whatever, and they're back there. They swing way farther out. What is the point of all that when it swings out? Absolutely. So drivers knock them off. They're all over the place. They're all banged up, and then they stop working. They get all rusty, and they're so when they come out new, I love it, right? But when they don't work, then you're trying to fight and open the thing. It's 10 degrees below zero outside or whatever. Forget it. And sometimes they don't pop open. And I think that APU is mandatory now for me. Some states and cities require you to use it because you can't idle a truck. And why do you want to idle a big truck? That's what I say, right? APU, you have it set to automatically start, on battery, or you set a temperature. So as soon as you turn the truck off, it starts up, maintains the inside temperature, never hurts anything. Love it. I don't think I'd probably drive without one anymore because they're everywhere and they give you the exemption for the weight. So it isn't a problem. I think, though, if you don't have one, you should idle the truck. Absolutely. Okay. And if you go, I wouldn't go somewhere where I couldn't idle the truck if I didn't have an APU. I wouldn't allow the company to send me there because I wouldn't do it unless they're giving me a motel. Why is Melton pulling the APUs off the trucks? And we have skirts on almost every one of our trailers, but we have the same damage problem. People go over a hump and damage them. So now the bottom part of them, on some of them, is rubber. So the bottom foot of it or so is rubber, so it bends. And then the thing comes in there. And we had some that would flex with the light in them. And so now they've moved them inside so that the light hangs by itself outside because the light was in this. And then the thing would flex and the lights would blink. So that isn't good. Melton says they've had issues and they're not worth it. I don't know. I mean, mine has 8,000 hours. Some of them have 12, 15,000 hours on them. No problem. They just do oil change with them with the truck, really. Yeah, an APU, auxiliary power unit, hangs off the side of the truck, usually on the passenger side. It'll run heat and air for the truck, and depending on the unit, it'll also circulate the coolant, keeps it warm, keeps the coolant warm. It'll charge the batteries, and it provides power in the truck, runs an inverter in there, everything runs good. Then you can turn the truck off, save the fuel of idling the truck, and it isn't good to just idle a truck all the time for the engine and just run the APU. Prime has tails, well, which I don't understand. When you go so slow, I can't help it all. When they go on 10 miles an hour, I don't know how that trailer tail works. Okay, there, I said it about Prime. If you're not going that fast, it's like putting a wing, this gigantic wing on your Honda Civic, okay? What's the point? You got to at least get through the wind fast enough for them to work. You put a 4-foot wing on a Civic, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter. But Prime puts them on there. I'm surprised I don't see more damage on them, really. They probably charge the drivers. I haven't looked into that, if they damage them, because a lot of people there are owner-operators. But I'm not going to get off on a tangent of griping at Prime. Although that's another point, where they hold you up. Yeah. 1,000-hour pet deposit. Look, I saw Dart. Now, I don't know if they still do this. This is an older video. They had a $1,500 pet deposit as an owner-operator. In an owner-operator, a lease truck. A lease truck. I thought, oh, my God. And a truck that you're leasing, and it was non-refundable. Non-refundable. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. I have to look in to see if that's current. That was a 2-year-old video. But I almost fell off the floor. I couldn't believe it. Why are we putting the pet deposit in a truck we own? Oh, right, because you don't own it. It doesn't make any sense, except that isn't your truck. Lease operators are not owner operators. When they set your speed, They set everything about your truck. They make you pay a pet deposit. They tell you where you can go, and they dispatch. They do everything. It's not your truck. You bought yourself a job. You're not an owner operator. An owner operator goes to the dealer and buys a truck and puts their own DOT on it. Right. That's what I say about that. You're leasing it. All you did is buy yourself a job with the company at the place where you could just go get a job and drive their truck and not have any of the risk involved in it, but still get all the reward of the pay, especially now that pay is up. There's hardly a difference now in that take home of a lease operator and a company driver. And people say, well, what are you talking about? They make $1,500 take home. Not really. You pay taxes on that. You got to buy insurance. Got to buy health care, all that stuff. How do you tell the difference between an owner operator who's leased to the company and an owner operator? Somebody leased to the company says leased to and some large company like Prime, where an owner operator might be Joe Smith Trucking kind of thing. Otherwise, you can always ask them. It's hard to tell on the door, right? You might not be able to tell just by looking at it, but leased to, and then they're leased to some other company. And a lot of them want them to start their own LLC or something, and so then they put their name on the door and then lease to some other company in the back. Like they're trying to scam out of liability and taxes. It doesn't work, of course. That's not a way to do it. An LLC can't drive the truck. An LLC would have to hire a driver, which would be you, to drive the truck because a piece of paper can't drive. It's a long thing, but that doesn't work out well for anybody. It doesn't save any money. And remember, you still have to buy all these benefits you did just by working there as a company driver. You walk in and work there as a company driver, they give you all these benefits. But you say, oh, well, I'll just take $1,500 home. Well, okay, I don't take that home, but I got a lot of benefits. I don't think it works out good. Why do mega carriers have age limits? Look, on the trucks. Because the same way as an age limit on the trailer. They don't want some junk box breaking down, and they want their fleet to look halfway decent going down the road. So somebody comes in and 1984 International cab over that he bought from Schneider in 87, and it's had all these years. It doesn't fit in with the look, and it doesn't inspire confidence maybe in the fleet, but it just doesn't look right. The old truck, unless it's some kind of restored thing, which I don't know if they'd make an exception, probably not. But otherwise, no. They don't want you break it down all the time because then they have to figure out how to still get the freight somewhere. And then you eventually quit because you can't fix your truck. So no. And I'm not a fan of old trucks, right? Which I've said many times because I want all the features in a new truck, What do I think is a decent cents per mile for an experienced driver? Okay. It depends where you live and how much money you need and what you're willing to tolerate. I think you should be paid for all of your time. And a road driver now should be well in the 40s, maybe 50 plus cents. That's what I'm seeing advertised. But it depends what you're doing and if it's enough money and that you're satisfied with it, because that's only the third reason that people quit when they survey drivers. Why did you quit? That's number 3, pay. Pay's never number 1. Number 1 is always treatment. How it was treated. If you're treated really well somewhere and have a job that you like, is it worth leaving to get a nickel somewhere on a job you don't know about? You don't know if it's going to work out. You don't know the people there. You don't know if you like it really until you do it. You don't know how they work and everything. Is that worth it? Is it worth quitting for a raise? It depends how much the raise is and how much you like your current job. Hating your job your whole life, that's no way to live. That's horrible. My stepfather hated going to work every single day, and he would just gripe about it all the time. And I always wondered why he didn't go do something else. Because if you hate your job, it doesn't matter what it pays. It doesn't make any difference what it pays. The pay has got to be something that you agree with, where you're paid for your time. There shouldn't be any free time, mileage. People chase the cents per miles, but that's not always the solution. Places pay 2 cents here, 4 cents more there. It doesn't matter. It matters what you make a week, and do you like it? Are you enjoying it? Is it fitting with how you want to live? Do you get home enough? Do you get enough benefits? What if they have great insurance here and somebody else gives you a nickel, but they have a $10,000 deductible? Okay, that is a problem. But over at this place, then they have $500 deductible. That can be a problem. One doctor visit, bingo. There goes your nickel for the next 7 years. So just the cents per mile is not as important as the total package, I think, of a company. What's the total deal at the end of the week? You like it? Do they go where you want? Do they do what you want? Do they haul what you want? Do they go this? Do they have the trucks that you want? Do they have APUs that you want? Everything. Why don't they make cab overs? Because everybody hates them. No, they make them in Europe. They have a lot of cab overs, right? You see them single axles with three axle trailers. The roads are big here. This is America. We like big stuff. We're not having cab overs. This is America. Go to back to Sweden for that with your Scanias. Ah, do flatbed carriers charge when they change? Ah, we'd have to call them. No, we'd have to call them. It's not hard to learn how to do a reefer, though. Right. See, 40 cents, which is not bad, right? But they take care of their drivers. And so that's what matters. When you go to work, are you thinking, oh my God, it's Monday. I got to go back to work. I hate it. It's going to be horrible. Then it doesn't matter if they're giving you 60 cents a mile. It doesn't matter. Money's not going to solve that. When you die in your 50s because you have a heart attack, because you hate your job every day, you're stressed every day, they sit you in traffic every day, it's not worth it. What's worth it? Do you like what you're doing? And that matters. To your whole life, you're going to live longer. You'll be, when you come home, you're happy. Oh, I'm happy. I got to go back to work. It's awesome, right? I think it's great. That's what matters. That, and you're going to be a better driver. You'll make more money just because of that. Don't day cabs get crappy fuel economy? I don't think so. They should get the same economy as every other truck. Maybe more. They're lighter, so they would weigh less. It should be the same. It's all the aerodynamics now. That's what they're all into now. But then we're going to see that at a motel. So get good fuel mileage while it's parked, and you're at the motel at the Holiday Inn, basking in the pool every night. Ah, right. You don't like a job as much as you enjoy driving. Driving is great. Whenever we go anywhere, I drive. Okay, which the wife doesn't mind anyway. So even if it's a long place, people say, "Oh, you drive all week. Why are you driving?" Because I like driving. That's why I drive. I always liked it. Right? Learned how to drive in a cemetery. Many of you maybe did. My grandfather taught me to drive in a 1972 Chevy Caprice two-door in the cemetery, and we would visit grandmother. Do I think they need to change the hours of service? Well, they could eliminate the mandatory break. That would be good because the 30-minute break, it's very hard for people to park. It's just an inconvenience. I don't like it. I don't like it. Get rid of it. That would be great. So they could change that. I do stop. Everybody has to stop, right? But I just think it's very inconvenient. It's super inconvenient. The 10 hours, I don't know. The more hours that you work, I'm just not a fan of giving people time. Any minute you give the company, they're going to make your day longer. And so I think it's certainly long enough now. Older engines tear up. I don't think so. Do older engines tear up as much as the new ones? I don't know. People complain about the new trucks. They have a lot of maintenance. I haven't had any problems with mine at all. Really. I had a light come on. They fixed it. That's it, right? Easy. Easy stuff. It's been running good. Starts all winter. I only plugged it in a couple of nights. Starts, we come in and after the whole weekend it starts. No problems. Isn't like it used to be. Plug it in, run heaters on it, try and get it started. Not anymore. They'll start like a car, run like a car, right? You start it and drive away. Idle it a few seconds and drive out. I like it. I think it's great. The DEF costs them money, but they got it all figured in their rates. I'm sure. I'm sure that all figured into the rates. They wouldn't do that. We'll just generously give you that money. Huh. Yeah, trucks. Look, trucking is a great career. People like it. People see the trucks. They hate drivers or whatever. But drivers bring a lot of it on themselves by driving, not politely and stuff. That the way they should. You're not saving any time by shoving some family off the road, and you're not doing yourself any favors because those are the people that are going to change the rules and say, well, these trucks need to be, governed. Because look, they are talking about a national governed truck rate of 65, 68 miles an hour in the U.S. There's talk. Trump probably won't do it, but there's talk, and he won't be president forever. So that could come, and it's going to be because drivers are shoving these cars off the road, and that isn't a great idea. What websites do I look at for driving jobs? Well, anymore, right? You can go to any website that has any other jobs. Like I look a lot on Craigslist. There's tons of companies that post on there because it's free. It's free. So go to the Craigslist in your area and check for jobs. And you can go to Indeed and all these other kind of job sites. But Craigslist, they seem to post a ton of jobs there. They're all over the place. That's where I look at all these Indianapolis jobs, which is an hour away from me. And there's $100,000 jobs on there easily. Fine, in 2 minutes you can find a job paying 100 grand if you're not happy where you are. But the 100 grand, if you don't like that job, that's not going to pacify you much. Even though it's $2,000 a week, I guess when you're driving home in your Mercedes, you think, well, I hate that job, but dang, this is a nice car. So the 2 grand might help you that way. And DEF, look, it only takes you a minute to fill it up. A couple minutes, I'm done. Fill it up, and I get extra points for it. So I like it from that end of it. Although not that many, then 10, 20. Yeah, generally, Republicans, but there's not much difference between them. It just depends who's getting money, who's being paid by the lobbyists. Really, that's because the rules there then and now, they haven't changed that much. We didn't roll any regulations back or anything as the administration changed. Well, yeah, the crap company, discouraging people. I don't know, because it's generally the companies that take new drivers, and so maybe I guess I overreach myself, maybe thinking, oh, well, there's all these drivers going to see it, but you know, well, I appreciate that you enjoy the videos. Believe me. The crap company. It's all those companies. I just could lump them all together. And I get a lot of grief about it. So, which doesn't necessarily matter, but you know, I just don't want to discourage people from driving. It's a great career. Each company has its faults. I guess we could go through every company out there, but some of the things are just ridiculous, like a $1,500 pet deposit when you own the truck, when you supposedly own the truck, or that kind of stuff. That's just ridiculous. And companies that push you into a lease when you don't have any experience, they're just doing that to get you to provide a payment on their truck. Oh, here's a truck. Let's have them pay for it. Well, I appreciate it. I wish Rickles would see that. Well, I was hoping that I would actually get contacted by one of the companies. Now, the one for Prime, I think it got like 7,000 people saw it. So I thought, oh, well, maybe Prime will see this and contact me and we could talk, but no such luck. I sent them an email, no response. So, I don't know. I thought maybe we can get some change, but then who am I to make a change in the industry, really? I'm just me, sitting here. So that didn't work out. So, I was just on the fence about it, and then I like the suggestion of just featuring the features of a company and then let people decide themselves about it. And that seemed like a better thing to do, is what I thought. That's what I thought about it. I do get a lot of talk about it, so maybe we could come back with it, I guess, if everybody likes it. I seem to stay lean. You're hilarious. Well, lean. Yes, that's because the camera's up here. Right. Okay. My diet, I sit around, of course. And so everybody gets fat. That's just a lot of drivers get fat. You get fat. I eat okay, but I'm still fat. I can run a few miles, but because I do a couple 5Ks a year, but I'm still fat. I can't do any marathons or anything. Where would you get a teammate? That's a problem. Some companies will match you, but look, if you get matched, that's a problem. I mean, it's like dating. Worse than that, you got to live with somebody right here for maybe weeks at a time. So, well, yeah, I appreciate that. So getting a teammate, I mean, that is a tough one. I'm not a teaming person, so I'm out. But again, it might be for you, but I think you got to come with somebody. I just don't see how you could do it. I do not know how you could go in there with somebody you don't know and go to sleep. It's got to be somebody you know. For me. And I couldn't even do it then. Every bump, I think I'm dead. Oh, okay, I'm still alive. Wait, I'm dead. Huh. So I just could not do it. I appreciate that everybody likes it. I watch Smart Trucking too, okay? Just so you know. I'm a subscriber to them. I like that guy. He's hilarious. Canadian, right. But the teaming, if you don't bring somebody, you can ask them. A lot of companies have people waiting to team. They do. They'll have a list of people or whatever, and they go through kind of like a dating for truckers, like truckersonly.com basically, where they say, okay, what do you like? Do you like what kind of music? What do you like to eat? What do you like to do? What do you like to do? Who do you like to look at? Where do you like to ride? And then they go with us and they try to match you up almost like you're dating, because you almost are. You're with that person more than you're with your spouse or anybody else. That's like your work husband or wife, depending on who's going with you. So I don't know how that would work if you're married, I guess. I do get a lot of recommendations. We can bring that back. We can bring our crack company of the week. I mean, if everybody likes it, it can come back. There's certainly plenty of things to do it. But look, the teaming. What if you got to know somebody? You got to really know somebody. You're going to go to sleep. You got to trust them with your life, because right, okay. I hate if the team smokes. Perfect example. If they smoke and you don't, forget it. Like, I don't smoke. I won't drive a truck that's been smoked in. If they go, oh, your truck can't go, you got to go take this other truck. If I open that door and there's smoke, I'm done. I go, you gotta finish it. You got to give me another truck, clean it, or get something else, right? I don't tolerate it. And actually, policy here is no smoking in the trucks, which is a lot of companies, although it's not enforced at all because they go, well, we can't get drivers. So they don't enforce it. But I don't smoke. I keep the truck clean. I got these little things that hang around in there. Ooh, Craigslist should have an ad posting for teammate. Oh my God. Do you not read the paper? Who are you going to get if you put an ad on there? Who's coming to team with you? Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh my God. John Gacy. You still don't know who you're getting. Whether you get them on Craigslist, you get them just walking down the street, it doesn't matter. Or the company gives them to you. You don't have any idea who that person is. None. They crank the radio. What if he falls asleep at night? You're dead. You're dead. I don't like putting my driving in somebody else's hands. And it doesn't matter if they have a lot of experience. I just don't like doing it. The dating team. Plus, if it's the opposite sex, right? Look, I wouldn't do it, right? It just looks bad. And I'm married, right? And I think that's disrespectful to my wife. So I wouldn't do it. But some people do it, but it's just not for me. So that's up to you, right? I think it's disrespectful if you're married. But because I've been married a long time, so no way. But some people do it. And it doesn't matter if it's a man or woman. What if they fall asleep? So I want to be in control of the truck when I'm in it. The whole time I'm in it, I want to drive it, to know it's being driven safely, to know everything's being done properly. And, the extra money that you get teaming, which is the gap's getting closer now, I'm just not in for it. Husband and wife teams, look, if they can live in a truck, be my guest. Live in the truck and make the money. Make the money. Right? You can make, well, what if you're getting at a great place, you get 6,000 miles a week. I could see you making 200 grand into one house. Nice. You could be actually the rich that everybody hates. You'd be in one of the top at 10 or 12% of wage earners in the United States. Not bad for, a couple high school diplomas. I think that's pretty good. So $4,000 a week, right? They're the ones come to work in the Mercedes too, really. So I love it. If you can be in the truck with somebody, right? But presumably if you're married, it shouldn't be any problem. The guns in the truck, look, I'm a huge Second Amendment person, right? I have a lot of guns, no problem, right? You can carry a gun, why not? Constitution doesn't say anything about it, so I'm all political, here we go, but right. So yeah, absolutely. As long as you're allowed to have a gun, why not? My opinion on gigantic sleepers is they're hard to park. They're hard to turn around corners. And when I'm trying to get into Chicago with them, I think it's a problem. They're nice when I'm trying to sleep in it, but I'll just take my shower at the Loves and be in a truck that I can actually get around the corner, that I can park in. And they're expensive. So it's going to be an owner-operator. I don't know of any company running those huge sleepers. Well, I appreciate that. I didn't know that, I didn't realize that there was such a following of this. It should have its own channel, right? So, crap company of the week. That is pretty good. I told my wife I was onto something, and then I thought, I don't know if I'm onto something there. She goes, oh, you shouldn't do that. But I thought, maybe I am onto something. That's hilarious. That makes the day. That's almost as good as the Stevie Wonder Truck Driving Academy. Really. Which I think is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. If I had the money, I would start a truck school and call it that, if he would have let me. And I would have him there. Or have all the people there with the dark sunglasses and the cane. I don't know what would be funnier than that. Those would be the instructors. That's how you could tell. It'd be super fun. But that's an aside. Guns in a truck, yeah. Check this out. Can team 3 people in a truck? I don't know, I don't see why you couldn't, but I don't know why you would. Because Well, yeah, you'd shift from driver's seat to passenger seat to sleeper. Okay, because the person in the passenger seat, if they're going to get a break, could log that as off duty until they went in the sleeper. So everybody just drive 8 hours, I guess? Oh, that's perfect. Nobody need a 30-minute break. Huh. Nobody would need a 30-minute break because you'd be going off duty after 8 hours. But then you got to split the pay three ways. So if you split the pay, then what? There's not enough money to split three ways to make it worth it. If you own the truck, maybe you got $4 a mile. So I don't think the age is the problem on a teammate as much as experience and maturity level. You know, can they drive? And I say this about the waxing, and I say the same thing about people's cars. And I've always thought that if you come to work, you're going to take a job, and you got a car that's all beat up. Why do I think you can drive a truck? You can't even drive that's your own car. So it's the same thing. Now, right, back to waxing, right? My cars are clean all the time. But look, if your car's all beat up and you're going to go get a job, why do I think you can drive a truck? So same thing. When people come in, right away, you can look at them and say, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere with this job." Huh. Why? I don't know why I'd want to stand up to cops. That's for sure. That I have no idea why I'd do that. Huh. Whatever they say, you just do it, right? I try to avoid the police. That's a pain point for me. So I try to avoid things. I try to avoid runs that go through a lot of scales. You know, so you have a good relationship with your dispatcher. Well, the crap company of the week will bring change to the industry. Well, I can hope that I could spread it to the whole industry and change it. Right. Number one would be get everybody paid. And I agree, right? You can't win any arguments with the police on the side of the road. So if he says get out of the truck, you get out of the truck. If he says let me see your ID, you give me your ID. What are you going to argue with him? I'm not doing that. I have rights. You're going to be in the back of the car going down to the station where you have rights. Okay, then your truck gets towed. It isn't worth it. It's not. Even if he's wrong, it isn't worth it. Okay, most cops are nice. My grandfather was a policeman his whole life. He retired as a lieutenant from the force. Okay, so I grew up with police all around, and you know most of them are okay, no problems. We've all had interactions with the police, you know, and they're fine. If you just do what they tell you, it's fine. And feel, well, you do what the cops say. What are you laying down? No, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to jail because he says something that isn't right. Okay, so he can't make me get out of the truck. All right, I'm getting out of the truck if he says get out of the truck. Come over here. I'm going over there. I'll see you over there. Okay, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. You want to look around? Go ahead. It's a company. I have no choice. It's a company truck, and policy is that they get to look around. That's their truck. But if you own the truck, theoretically, you could tell them no. But why would you do that? Then, okay, we'll wait and we'll get a drug dog, and they'll really harass your day. So whether they're right or wrong, do it. Do it. Okay? Just do what he says. And you'll probably get released for it. Even if what he says is not right to do, necessarily. As long as it isn't unsafe or something like that. Get out of the truck. Okay, we get out of the truck. It's pretty simple. Okay, we go over here. All right, I'm going over there. Whatever you want me to do. Here's an ID, right? Here's my Love's card. Whatever you want from me. It doesn't matter. Here's my Star Trek ID. I'm looking at the cat who came down here, right? So she's laying right there. And so that you just do it. You just have to do it. You have no choice. Right, and I'm gonna head out here about 5 minutes. So we got any more questions? Because I got to go to work today. Somebody's got to make some money around this place, and it looks like it's going to have to be me. So what's going on out there? I got a few more minutes. The cat is hungry. She wants her lunch too. Doesn't make it worse when you stand your ground because they can. Yes, right. Standing your ground and being right is what is it? How does that help? You know, how does that? I don't think that helps you at all. Because you're right, you're still going to jail. Okay, so they release you and don't charge you. All right, great. Now what? What happened to your load? So 3 people in the truck can get more done than 2 people and make more money. I don't think so. Because 2 people are already running 1,000, 1,200 miles a day, right? 1,000. That's most of the day. You need to shower and stuff, right? Especially with 3 of you in there. But even 2 of you. So I think you're already doing almost all that the truck can do. And the DEA needs a warrant. Right. Okay, maybe. Fine. They're getting in my truck. I don't care. Let them in. You want to go around? Look around. I don't care. Because I want to leave. And so, yes, oh, okay, I'm bowing to the man. Okay, and so some driver says no. Then what happens? Okay, then they make you sit there and go get the dogs or whatever, right? I'm not having that kind of hassle. And look, I still know my place as a company driver, right? I insist on a lot of things, but look, I'm still a company driver. It's their truck, and their policy is that if a cop wants to get in the truck, he gets in the truck. It's their truck. If I refuse to let him in, I'd be risking my job at my company because they have a policy, and it's their truck. I'm an employee. Now, if you own the truck, it's your truck. You can make your own policy. I can't do that. And drivers, company drivers, should understand that. I'm still an employee and I still have policies to follow. Even though I give them grief about stuff, I still follow all the policies, and so they keep me there. But at any time, they could not keep me there, and I don't want to go looking for another job. I like working there. So I do what they tell you to do. If he says, "Can I get in the truck?" Get right in the truck. It doesn't matter to me. But if you don't want to do that, more power to you. More power to you. I don't think you're wrong for that. If you're right and you want to take whatever consequence, because the cop can take you down to the station, okay, then what? Then tow your truck away. And you're right, but then you're right at the station. And then will you feel better about that? I don't know. Maybe. Because all he wants to do is look around or whatever. Should he do that? Probably not. They do push a lot of that stuff. Yeah, Border Patrol's another one, right? The Border Patrol's usually no problem, right? Yeah, you do what they ask, they let you go. Okay, you an American? Well, mostly, you know what they ask? Are you American? Yes. Okay, and that's usually the end of it. Sometimes they run a mirror. I've seen them run a mirror under the truck or whatever, right? If you start being all cagey about it, oh, I got my rights. Here we go, right? And then they're like, oh, here's somebody with some rights, right? Here you have a right to go downtown. You're loaded and headed to Topeka, Kansas. Well, thank you. Where are you in right now before you get off of there? How far are we going to Topeka, Kansas? And if you're coming through here, it's stormy today here in Lafayette, Indiana. Topeka, Kansas. Near, maybe gone already. Clicks off that fast. I'm just out of sight, out of mind, just like that. Good. I hope you didn't sit there long and hope you got paid for it, because it is important that you get paid for all your time. I think it's important. What's the best thing you do past an open scale house? It's an accident because a car wouldn't let you over. Well, keep going. I mean, I've seen people stop. That is funny. Oh, Milwaukee, that's pretty good. That's a good load. Cheese. I love that. Milwaukee down there, fine. Oh, you won't be passing through here then, fine. All right. If you have to pass the scale, if it's open, just keep driving. What can you do? Stopping on the shoulder, unsafe. If they wouldn't let you over, keep driving. Hopefully they don't come out there and try to do anything. Is there going to be a law saying we have to use fire retardant underwear? All right. Am I being punked on that one? Operating a sleeper. Does the e-log tell the company to drive over the hours? Yes. Absolutely. But it warns you, at us, it starts an hour before. So at 10 hours of driving, it starts beeping. It gives you have 1 hour, then 30 minutes, 20, 15, 10, 5. Okay, so there's no way you don't know. And it does the same thing at 14 hours. It does the same for your 8-hour break. So we get plenty of warning. Is that Ashton Kutcher asking me about that underwear? I don't know about that. So that one, I don't know about that. And there's this, you have to use white sheet somewhere, right? I've never seen that either, right? Over all the years. So the fire retardant underwear, I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe soft. Maybe Hanes makes it. I've heard a lot of bad things about PeopleNet, right? PeopleNet. Qualcomm, okay, the industry leader, works, beep, bingo, signal gone. PeopleNet, horrible, that's bad. Okay, Pete built 379, see you later. Thank you for stopping by. It is 1:15. I have to head out of here as well because I leave on Mondays and Monday afternoons and get back Saturday mornings. So I hope everybody has a good day and get some good loads. Let me know what else you want to see on here and check out the shirt while you can, because it's only going to be a couple of days. If you want to just look at it or whatever, it's super funny. I appreciate the suggestion of that. And there's going to be more videos soon, but we're out here. Thank you, Rotten Eggplant, and you get the award of +1 for the name of the day today. That is for sure. So, thanks everybody for being on here. The Crap Company of the Week is out there, and I appreciate everybody. Be safe on the road as we head out there to Kansas and other places. Thanks for coming. We're going to have more of these soon. Thanks. See you soon.